Hello, this is Dr. Ajay Ukadgaonkar. I am a practicing consultant and interventional cardiologist practicing in Aurangabad. I own my own setup by the name of Pace Heart Care in Brain Hospital, Aurangabad. Today we'll discuss a little bit about an entity called heart attack, about which a lot of confusion is going on there in our society. Nowadays, we come to know that many young patients below the age of 40 or even below the age of 30 have experienced heart attack, and I'll just orient you a little bit about it. So basically, what heart does. So heart is a very important organ in our body, which is responsible to supply blood to each and every organ and each and every cell of your body. It acts basically like a pump, and it pumps about 5 liters of blood per minute to whole of the body, and it beats about 60 to 100 beats per minute to fulfill the demands of oxygen of our body. This is known as your normal heart rate. So to do this work continuously and tirelessly, heart has to be working lifelong. So to do this, it requires its own oxygen supply, extensive oxygen supply, which is supplied by 3 coronary arteries which are situated on the surface of the heart. So these 3 coronary arteries supply adequate oxygen continuously to heart muscles to ensure that it pumps continuously throughout your life. So what heart attack is basically? Whenever one of these or multiple arteries are blocked because of some reason, and the blood supply to that particular heart muscle is hampered, then heart attack occurs. That particular part of the heart does not function well, it cannot function well, and if the blood supply is not restored well within time, that particular part of the heart dies forever, which is known as myocardial infarction in medical terms and heart attack in common terms. So why heart attack occurs basically? There are various risk factors for heart attack, like hypertension, that is high BP, uncontrolled diabetes, high cholesterol, particularly LDL cholesterol, smoking, family history of heart disease, old age, male gender particularly, and females after the age of their menopause has occurred, they are also at risk. Sedentary lifestyle and obesity, these are various risk factors for heart attack. All these risk factors ultimately lead to one common pathological pathway, that is atherosclerosis, which is building up of cholesterol rich plaque inside your coronary artery, that is heart artery. Over a period of time, as this plaque buildup goes on increasing, eventually that plaque ruptures and a blood clot is formed there after plaque rupture, which totally stops the blood supply to that particular region of the heart, and heart attack occurs. This is the pathophysiology of a heart attack. Now, the symptoms of the heart attack you must have read everywhere, that symptoms of the heart attack, as typical symptom is chest pain. So let me tell you, every chest pain is not a heart attack. So you do not need to panic because you just have a chest pain. I'll just quickly tell you the chest pains which are very localized, that is restricted to one particular area of your chest only, or pains which are very short lasting only for seconds, or continuous pains for few days, or the pain which increases on applying pressure. These pains are 99% of the times not related to heart. Typical heart attack pain is, it is a retrosternal pain in the center of the chest, which is a squeezing or constricting type of pain, just like some heavy weight has been put on your chest, and it is usually radiating towards your jaw, your left shoulder and inner border of your left arm, and it is usually associated with profuse sweating, nausea or vomiting or breathing difficulty. So these are typical symptoms of the heart attack, but every patient may not experience typical symptoms all the time. So particularly in women or in diabetic patients, usually chest pain does not occur. There are few subtle symptoms which you should not ignore. So these subtle symptoms are, there just can be nausea or an episode of vomiting associated with sweating, or little bit of shortness of breath, or fainting episodes, or palpitations. These are some atypical symptoms of the heart attack which are usually seen in women and in diabetic patients. Now what you should do while you have one of those symptoms So you should first rush to the hospital to confirm whether this pain or these symptoms are heart related or not. The first and foremost important investigation is ECG or electrocardiogram. So ECG can tell you whether you are having a heart attack at the moment or not, your rhythm abnormalities, your rate abnormalities. So ECG is basically the first investigation you should do when you experience such symptoms. The next next investigation is echocardiography or 2D echo, which is basically sonography of the heart, which also tells you exact structural abnormalities, the regional wall abnormalities, and which part of the heart is getting less blood supply, and overall pumping function of your heart. Basically all hardware problems of your heart will be shown by echocardiography. Then the next set of investigations, there are some blood investigations named under the category cardiac markers or cardiac biomarkers. These biomarkers named troponin T or TROP-T and CPK-MB. These markers are released into the blood after your heart muscle dies because of heart attack, and the levels of these markers go on increasing in the blood as the heart attack progresses. So these are the basic set of investigations by which you know that you are having a heart attack. Then what should be done? What is the treatment of the heart attack? The treatment of the heart attack is basically giving antithrombotic therapy, that is blood thinner medicines, to dissolve that particular clot which has suddenly led to total stoppage of blood flow to that particular area of your heart. So these antithrombotic therapy consists of antiplatelet agents like aspirin, clopidogrel, ticagrelor or prasugrel, and anticoagulants, that is heparin. So these antiplatelet drugs basically they act by prevention of formation of platelet plug, and these anticoagulant medicines they act by preventing progression of this clot further. The third set of blood thinner or antithrombotic therapy I would say is thrombolytic agents. So these agents break down the already formed clot inside your artery. Anticoagulants do not break the already formed clot, they just prevent the progression of the clot. So these thrombolytic agents or thrombolysis, we call it as thrombolysis in myocardial infarction. So this thrombolysis should be done as early as possible to save maximum muscles of your heart, because time is muscle. The more time you waste after your symptoms occur, the more delay happens between your onset of symptoms and treatment, more heart muscles are damaged. So time is very important. So thrombolysis, anticoagulations and antiplatelet drugs, these are the mainstay of therapy. In addition to that, to prevent rhythm abnormalities, to prevent heart failure, there are certain sets of medicines under the category of beta blockers or AC inhibitors or diuretic drugs. This is the basic treatment of heart attack. Another invasive and interventional modality is angioplasty in heart attack. We call it as PAMI, that is primary angioplasty in myocardial infarction. So when the patient comes to casualty and is well within the time limit, then we can either go for thrombolysis or primary angioplasty. Patient is straight away taken to the cath lab. Angiography is done to exactly know the site and severity and extent of the blockages, and accordingly the decision of angioplasty is taken. And the angioplasty is done there and there itself in the same setting, and the blood flow is immediately restored. So primary angioplasty is the preferred and most accurate therapies available today. It is even more accurate than thrombolysis, because in thrombolysis you can just hope that the clot gets dissolved. You cannot see whether it gets dissolved or not. So this is the treatment of heart attack. Then the next part and most important part comes is prevention of heart attack, because prevention is always better than cure. If you learn to deal with this, I would say heart attack is a pandemic, because all over the world patients all the time die of heart attack and cardiovascular diseases more than any other diseases. So if you learn to conquer these particular cardiovascular diseases, you will be symptom free and disease free till the end of your life. So how to prevent heart attack? So to prevent heart attack, most important step is lifestyle modification, because many people rely only on medicines and drugs and fancy investigations, and once the doctor prescribes you the drugs, patient is satisfied that now I am taking medicines that then I cannot have heart attack. No, it is not like that, because medicines is just a minor part of prevention of heart attack. The major part is lifestyle modifications. So what lifestyle modifications are suggested? Number one is you should exercise regularly. So what kind of exercise and how much exercise? The recommended exercise is at least 150 minutes per week divided at least into 5 weeks. That comes to 30 minutes per day for at least 5 days a week. And this exercise should include vigorous or moderate amount of aerobic exercise. You can either brisk walk, you can walk uphill, you can jog, or you can do cycling. But this vigorous amount of exercise for this much amount of duration is absolutely mandatory. The next thing is keeping your weight in control. Your BMI, that is body mass index, should always remain below 25. Above 25 we label it as overweight, and above 30 we label it as obese. So you should be in the ideal BMI range always. So keeping weight in control, regular exercise, and the third thing is avoiding any addictions. Out of addictions, smoking is the most important risk factor for having cardiovascular disease. So do not smoke at all, stop smoking totally. That is the third point. And fourth point is dietary modification. So in diet you can have a low carbohydrate, high protein diet. There are various diets available in the market. You can just go through that. If you are a diabetic patient, you should avoid sugars totally. You should restrict your carbohydrate content. If you are a hypertensive patient, that is patients with high BP, you should restrict your excess salt intake in your diet. If you are having high cholesterol, particularly high LDL, then you should have high fiber diet. The high fiber diet includes green leafy vegetables and fruits. So you should have high fiber content in your diet if you want to tackle cholesterol based on lifestyle modifications. So these are several set of lifestyle modifications that are very necessary. Next point is you should screen for all these risk factors periodically, because many of the patients of hypertension or diabetes or high cholesterol, they do not experience any of the symptoms of those disease. That does not mean they do not have the disease. That is why these risk factors are also known as silent killers, because they do not show symptoms unless complications occur. So particularly patients above the age of 40 years or young patients with a significant family history of these risk factors or heart disease should screen for all these risk factors periodically, at least once in 2 to 3 years. That includes blood pressure checkup, your fasting and post meal blood sugar checkup, HbA1c checkup, which lets you know the average amount of blood sugar over past 3 to 4 months. Then lipid profile, which includes total cholesterol, LDL and HDL and triglycerides. These are the basic set of investigations which you should undergo very periodically. So to summarize it, heart is a very important organ, and if you want it to be healthy for a long time, you should adapt to a healthy lifestyle in the form of regular exercise, weight maintenance, dietary modifications and aggressive risk factor controls if you have any, in consultation with your doctor. Thank you so much.